Be exciting to people who don't know about that, and for people who know about it, great. This could add to your excitement about it. There was a very significant Harvard Business Review article about HR about 2 issues ago. Any idea what it was? Okay, they did an analysis as to what are the skills that chief executives have or are needed in a chief executive. And they made a list of 6 to 7 or more critical skills that chief executives have to have or people have to have if they are to become chief executives. And they also did an analysis of how many of those skills or to what extent those skills are present in people who are reporting to chief executives currently in some of the largest companies in the world. So okay, these are, let's say, 6 or 7 traits that are essential in chief executives for them to lead the companies. What skills among those are present among the chief technology officer, in the CFO, in the HR head, and all these other positions which report into the chief executive. So, which functional head do you think had most of the skills or had more skills than the other functional heads to become a chief executive? Or in other words, which of these were most likely to become chief executives? Take a guess. Were CFOs more likely to become CEOs? Were CTOs more likely to become CEOs? Were HR heads more likely to become CEOs? It is HR heads. So, how many of you are HR students? Okay. How many of you are not HR students? Okay. So if you are HR students, then you're in the right place at the right time. And if you're not HR students, then you're with the right group. So please ensure that you connect with all these people. So I think I have your attention now for the next 7 hours as we go into the panel discussion. Okay, so let me start off with the topic. It says HR for turbulent times. And I just have an intuition that some of you may be thinking, turbulent times are just a temporary phase. Okay, we're going through it just now. It's a particularly rough period. So let's just find out how we can handle this temporary period. And I'm here to suggest that it is not a temporary period. If anything, it's going to get worse. And that's because of technology. We're at a stage where the rate of growth of technology, the rate of change in the workplace, in society, in relationships, just about everywhere, is so crazy that everybody is panting to catch up. And that is not going to change. Why should it? It's not logical for it to change. Because as you have more technology, it's obvious to expect more changes because you have more technology leading to those greater changes. So it's not a temporary phenomenon. So what are we going to take away from all the panelists? You're going to be ready to take that away for a very, very long time and to implement it, if you think it makes sense to you, very seriously as a very core part of your being, of your activities, of your thinking, because it's not temporary. And let me give you some very quick examples. If 10 years ago, if I were to approach you and ask you, just tell me the name of a company that you can think of when I give you this word. And if the word that I were to give you 10 years ago, okay, you got to keep that in mind, 10 years ago. If the word I were to give you was photography, which company would just pop into your mind? Kodak, absolutely. Kodak today is a bankrupt company. Or it went bankrupt. It had 150,000 people when it went bankrupt. Okay, so what do you think happened to Kodak? What technological change killed Kodak? Digital cameras, absolutely. Digital photography. Which company do you think created digital photography? No, it was Kodak itself. Now, that's one hell of an example, right? They themselves created the technology that destroyed them. They couldn't see that their own technology will destroy them. So it's very little chance of expecting other companies which are away from that technology which is going to destroy them to really anticipate that technology and to take charge and do something about it. If it can happen to Kodak, it can happen to any company. Number one, because they invented the technology themselves and they didn't realize how crazy it was, and because we're the bluest of the blue chip names in the photography business. So, if it can happen to Kodak, it can happen to any. There's also another company which is quite well known. It's called Nokia. Anybody using a Nokia phone today? Okay, 2 or 3. My good wishes to you. They were number one. They had a market share which was absolutely mind-blowing. It was something like 35 to 40%. I don't think any mobile phone company in the world today has more than 5% market share. I may be wrong by a few basis points or a few 100 basis points, but not more than that. They had a market share of about 35 to 40%. And today, if you look at the represented here, it's less than 1%. So if it happened to Nokia, if it happened to Kodak, it can happen to anyone. That's more or less the past. Let's talk about the present, which is pretty scary. So scary that I don't need to talk about future predictions. Right now, there are some technologies which are existing, which people have read about, they've checked out videos on YouTube. 2 technologies that are particularly crazy are from Google. Okay, so any idea what they are? Google Glass. Why would anybody buy a normal smartphone when you can buy a Google Glass? It's got lots more features, it's hands-free. Now, so if Google Glass becomes well marketed and becomes well accepted, the entire smartphone industry as we know it is dead. Google driverless cars, the entire car industry as we know it today is dead. There is proof that you can literally communicate between brains. Okay, there are 2 people involved in this cutting edge research. One is a gentleman called Rao, the other one is a gentleman called Stocco. These guys have proved that brain to brain communication can exist, is possible. So this experiment was done again and again, where there's one person here attached to a computer, there's another person there attached to another computer. This guy is playing a video game mentally. Okay, so he's just giving a mental command, okay, fire to hit a certain target. That's it, he doesn't do anything else, there's no physical movement. His brain impulses are transmitted through the computer and through the internet to another person there. That person, without his knowledge, moves his hand on a panel and plays that video game and wins that video game. Okay. That has been tried and tested, and it's not the future, it's already happened. Now imagine if this were to become more sophisticated. Think of Mr. Spock's mind meld in Star Trek. He could just put his hand on somebody's face and read his mind. This is pretty much going on that path. So what's going to happen if that technology takes over? Why would you need email? Why would you need Facebook? Why would you need written communication? Why would you need books when you can communicate with a person's brain directly? So these examples I've given you should hopefully make you feel very scared and very insecure. If they don't, then it's just been a waste of time for me. Because these technologies can just disrupt an industry, can disrupt your company, can disrupt segments of your company. So as HR professionals, I would think your biggest job today is to make your employees very, very scared. And to make them realize this, and it's not very difficult to do because there are examples available all over the place. I've just given you a few examples, but I can just go on. I can give you hundreds of examples, but I think I'm giving you the one that seemed to be the most critical. I think any rational human being will look at these examples and say, okay, times are turbulent and they are going to remain turbulent. What's the solution? The solution is that you've got to be a learning machine. You've got to learn how to learn because you don't know what you have to learn maybe next very month. You don't even know if your industry is going to exist in the next week or next month. So you better be prepared to learn anything about any new industry that you may need to join. So one is you got to be learning machines, and the other is you got to be creativity machines. Because wherever you go, your market value is going to be determined by the number of new ideas you constantly give to the world, to your bosses, to your colleagues. That's one of the most critical things. Now, it's not going to be easy. Okay, this is great in the classroom, and you may have taken this message that you need to be very insecure about today's times and expect that to continue. And you need to be very creative. But it's not going to be an easy process because creativity is not a natural process. There is a theory among evolutionary biologists that we have the same brains that our caveman ancestors had. The same brains. We have not evolved. So what did a caveman have to do? A caveman just had to have a lot of food wherever he could, because food was scarce. And whenever he thought that he was going to be killed by a predator, he had to just run, or attack, or defend himself. So if he saw a tiger running towards him, he had to just run. Okay. There was no time, and there were no instruments. So there was no technology for him to take out his Android phone, take a selfie with the tiger, or think, okay, what is this tiger? What species is it? What will it do if it approaches me? Maybe it's not hungry and maybe I'll take a chance. No, there were people who did that and they're dead. So we have evolved from ancestors of people who are very good at reacting very, very fast. And the same kind of thinking patterns are still there with us. So we're very good at reacting. Now, that's very important because even today, on and off, we do have life-threatening situations. But by and large, we don't. Right now, one of the needs is creativity, and that's not going to happen naturally because we are more reaction machines than thinking machines or creative machines. So you have to think deliberately about creativity. You have to take steps to learn creativity, to implement creativity, and it's not going to happen naturally. And it's not going to happen by motivation. Facebook is a fantastic tool, but one of the worst things that Facebook has done is just make everybody think that he's a motivational speaker, and that motivation is the answer to everything. So what happens? I'm feeling awesome, feeling blessed on Facebook. And there's this entire disease that's happened out there. It's called the self-esteem movement. The self-esteem movement is a myth that self-esteem leads to success, and that myth has been killed by research. Self-esteem does not lead to success. Success leads to self-esteem. And hard work leads to success more than anything else. So it's not going to happen by just telling yourself, I'm going to be creative. That's just not the process. You really have to find out, understand the science of creativity, and implement it, and it's a lot of hard work. Great, so I think I'll stop there and quickly sum up that these are turbulent times. It's not a temporary phenomenon. It's going to get worse. If you think you're too smart to fail, if you think you're too big to fail, well, all you have to do is look at Kodak and Nokia. And the solution is creativity. As HR heads and future chief executives, it's your job to get a grip of this very, very fast and to spread the news in your company. Because they're going to experience this sooner or later, and they're going to remember you and they're going to thank you for it. So I think it's your greatest duty, and I think it's your greatest chance of enhancing your career.
Thank you.